Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Tiffany Benson, one part of Team Benson, and today we're going to talk about something that is probably driving you insane. Pest. So I'm in the midst of watering everything right now, but just here's a quick glance so that you guys can see what the garden is looking like. So we still have the squash in, we still have the Armenian cucumbers in, we still have all of the okra, which is what we're going to be talking about today, and our midget cantaloupe, and our cucumber, and then we also have the cucumber over here, our bush cucumber, the poblanoes, and then all of the peppers. Just a quick glance since I haven't done a tour in forever. Now, when you are growing an organic garden, or when you're growing any kind of garden, but mainly an organic garden, there are going to be pests in your garden. So pests are not necessarily a bad thing, just because you have to understand that a plant is going to have its own life cycle. So once things start kind of going away or fizzling out, or if a plant gets sick, or if something happens to it, then there are going to be pests that happen in the garden. Now sometimes those pests infect healthy plants and kind of damage those and then make them sick and then encourage more pests. But there are ways, but there's always going to be pest in the garden, just because that's kind of nature's way of cycling itself. So it's not something that you can actually avoid unless you use a bunch of chemicals and you just douse your whole entire garden with chemicals and then force the plant to kind of live more than what it naturally wants to do. But you can always do things in order to lessen the effects of those pests. So sometimes it's something as small as there's something going on with the plant. Maybe it's in an area that's getting too much heat, maybe it's getting too much water, maybe it's not getting enough sun. All those different things can lead to a plant being unhealthy, therefore lead to the pest coming in. Or sometimes it is whatever's around it is unhealthy, which is then going to cause the healthy plant to become unhealthy. So I am going to talk to you guys today about spider mites, because I had spider mites on my lavender plant that completely killed my lavender plant, but then moved over to my healthy okra plants. So we're going to talk about the organic way that I got rid of them. So my okra plant here, all of these little bed of okra, they're on the mend now, but about, I would say like a week ago, they were riddled, most of the plants were riddled with spider mites. Spider mites is something that is going pretty rampant in the gardens of Arizona gardeners right now, because it's that season for spider mites. So I had a lavender plant that was on this hook that I had got from Home Depot, and it was infected with spider mites. And normally I do a quarantine time so that if anything is going on with the plant, I will know about it before putting it into my garden. But I was super excited about putting something on the hook that I did not do that. Well, it then led to spider mites getting spread throughout the bed. So what I did, instead of going and getting like neem oil, because neem oil, spraying it on a plant in Arizona where it's 110 will burn the plant, or getting diatomaceous earth, which can also kill the beneficial insects like bees or anything that's pollinating anything in my garden, and I don't have enough pollinators as it is, so the last thing I need to do is put something in my garden that's going to hurt them. I decided to look in my kitchen and see what I had organically. So when it comes to having pest control on my plants, I don't like to use anything pretty much on it. I like the plants just to be able to continue their life cycle, and the only way I really intervene is large gusts of water, or deciding what the plant needs, whether it's fertilizer, getting moved to a different spot, or shade, or more water, or whatever. One of the things that I do use though is soapy water. Now I use a dish soap. This one is called simple truth. If you guys have a Fry's or a Kroger's, this is their brand, and it is a free and clear dish soap. So it doesn't have any toxins, it doesn't have any sulfates or anything like that. So it's something that I think is okay to use on my plant. Now, to make this a little bit stronger, instead of, because sometimes you need like just a strong gust of something, since it's a mild soap, I add vodka. So you could add regular rubbing alcohol, but since rubbing alcohol is in a shortage right now, and I don't drink vodka, nor does Mr. Benson really drink vodka, we're using the vodka. Same thing. So what I do is I put it in a little spray bottle, and I combine that spray bottle with about a couple drops of soap, and then maybe about a fourth of vodka and the rest water. And then I shake it up and it is ready. So I'm going to show you guys how I treated the plant. Okay guys, so here is a leaf that I missed, and you can tell that it has spider mites, or the beginning of spider mites, because of this right here. So these are the spider mites, and there's little webs right here. Now if we look on the other side of the leaf, you can see that it's not really anything on there. There's a little something right there, but there's not really on there, so the infestation is not bad on this plant. So all I do, now I want to do this at night, but I am doing it right now for the sake of showing you guys, is I'm going to spray directly onto the plant, my mixture, and I want to get like a good coating on it. And then I'm just going to take my makeup brush and I'm just going to rub the leaves. Now I'd be doing this normally with 2 hands, but since I'm holding the camera with 1 hand, then I'm doing it with 1 hand. So I'm just gonna rub every single like nook and cranny of this leaf, and I want to make sure that I get everywhere where it is infected. So all I'm going to do is, once I get it all completely rubbed in and I've kind of disturbed their habitat, and the alcohol is going to automatically kill them, then I'm going to let it sit for 5 minutes. Okay, so after letting it sit, as you guys can see, it's now kind of dried. The soap kind of creates a residue on there. But now I'm going to just take a strong glass of water and rinse off the plant. Now I want to make sure that I get everywhere that I sprayed on there, so underneath the leaves and on top of the leaves, and I want it to be like a strong gust. So if you guys have different settings on your hose, then make sure you put it in one that's going to give like a jet spray on it, just so that you can get it nice and clean. So now you guys can see that it is now completely rinsed off and clean. So there is still going to be like lingering damage to the plant, but that's because that's the damage that the spider mites have already done. So like this hole isn't going to grow back, but it is now completely clean of spider mites. And they're soft body insects, but since they create the webbing, then they don't just come off with the gust of water. You have to go and use something abrupt to disturb their house. So now this leaf is going to be saved, and this plant is going to continue producing new leaves and creating more okra for me. Now one of the things that I'd like to point out too is that when it is like a very bottom leaf, and like these ones I treat it just to show you guys, but you can always prune these bottom leaves off. It's when it starts to get to an infestation like how this plant was, to where they were all over the plant. So I had, instead of trimming off all of the leaves, I didn't want to lose all of this new growth, so I treated the plant, which as you can see, it left the plant looking like this. This one does not have any spider mites on it. This is just the damage that's left over from the spider mites. So So, but I treated the plant, and this one has been treated about a week ago, and now the plant is starting to grow new leaves and new okra because now it's healthy again. So if there are bottom leaves that were going to be trimmed anyway, go ahead and trim those off. If not, then go ahead and treat the plant and let the plant be able to heal itself and leave those leaves so that the plant can photosynthesize. So the nice part about having this little guy is that it also gives me a cleaner and disinfector for my garden. So during this time, there's going to be tons of other things going on. There's going to be early blight on the tomatoes because they're not liking 113 degrees. There might be some spots on your pepper plants because they need to have more of a combination of shade and more water. There might be white flies, there might be any types of things, spider mites, anything, aphids that you don't want to spread. So every time I prune a plant, I spray off my pruners and then just wipe them down. Or every time I harvest something too as well, I also spray down my pruners and wipe them down. So I have the cleanest pruners in all of Arizona. I don't know, that's silly, guys, but it's true. So this is kind of how I keep my garden clean and keep disease from spreading from plant to plant. All right, so I found a new little spot in my garden because over there where I like sitting, it's bright and sunny, so I'm sitting right here. So the other thing I want to let you guys know is that pests are going to be something that are natural in your garden. It's something that you should expect because that is the life cycle of the plant. So instead of pounding your plant with just all different types of things, it's really kind of important just to start something inside while that plant is finishing its life cycle. So then that way you have something to replace that plant. So, you know, it's going to give you peppers, it's going to give you squash, it's going to give you tomatoes, but there's going to come a point in time where the plant's done. The plant is done giving you everything that it can, and it wants to just, it feels like it's spread its seed, so it's done. So instead of forcing the plant to do things and spending all of your time trying to save a plant that has already done its job by spreading its seeds, by giving you fruit, just start something inside and make sure that you're planting in the right season, in the right time, and the right vegetables that you should be planting within that season. So right now it's time for our monsoon season. So instead of me getting so super worried about all of the different things that are going on in my garden, all I'm doing is just saving the things that I know should be going throughout the summer, and then the rest of the things I'm letting them complete their life cycle as everything starts indoors. So then I can just bring it outdoors and replace it. So for all of you, especially first-time gardeners, and this is your first year and you're getting like bombarded by different pests in your garden, I want to encourage you not to get discouraged, because this is an important step of you becoming a fantastic gardener. You're going to need to learn your garden, you're going to need to learn what plants do what, and you're going to need to learn what pests like to eat what and at what time, so that you know when to plant things, when not to plant things, and when you're going to need to cycle things back out. So don't get discouraged, don't beat yourself up. It happens to everybody. It's happening to me, and I've been gardening for a couple of years, but it's going to allow you to learn your garden and learn what your garden does, so that then you can produce the most amount of food, because you know when you should be planting things and what's going to happen next. So until next time, grow yourself a garden, because even a small space can provide you with tons of food. All right, bye guys.